Hi everyone, this is Cyber here. I'm here today to bring you a new video. This video is my Texas Chainsaw Massacre meta breakdown of the stream they had today. Them going over everything about the meta and all that kind of stuff. So I have some clips from the stream, and also I'm going to go over the little thing they have, talk a little bit more in depth about the meta of the game. The meta is super deep, so I'm going to try to explain as much as I can so you guys can try to understand it. If you do have any questions, you can always ask in the comments. I always try to answer the best. Sorry about making it so late at night. I just had to work with what equipment I have. I still don't have my main PC. But without further ado, let's not jabber on. Let's get into and get some information. All right, let's go. So pretty much here, they're just to talk about Connie's ability, how you level it up, and also what is Starstruck and all that kind of stuff, where they got the idea for the name and all that kind of stuff, and how it works with the branches. Yeah, let's get into it and see what that's like.
So yeah, I'm gonna let Rob do his thing there, and I'm not gonna get too far. Oh, we're already good. Thanks, Rob. So yeah, like I said, star sign ability being the core of the character, it's the first node that you would touch on your loadout screen, right? It's the first thing that you would want to tinker with. For Connie, it's focused, so if you lock in here, you see that you can kind of start navigating this tree and unlocking different things that will modify her star sign ability, which happens to be focused. Focus is the ability, for those of you who haven't played the tech test, that allows you to pick locks at a quicker speed.
I have a question for you, Matt.
You have a question for me? Let's hear it.
This isn't from chat. This is from me.
Oh, okay.
Why did you choose star signs?
Well, you see, Wes, in the original 1974 film, The Texas Chainsaw Massacre, they're driving in the van, and Pam has this astrology handbook and star sign ability. So, focused. Connie's ability. Connie grew up on a farm. Connie is handy. She's good with it. She's technical and can handle those kinds of small details and small trickery that it takes to pick locks and things. So, one of the most important things to note about this is, obviously, when you load the game up for the first time, you won't have any points here to spend. But as you do have points to spend, instead of it being a matter of, well, I'm going to unlock, say, this node right here, right? And you'll see what just happened here. This is something that we felt was pretty important. You know, being able to say, well, we need to have decision points in this. So you can't jump to this node on the far left and then go all the way over here and grab this next one, or potentially just keep spilling points into this tree and fill the whole thing up. We wanted it to be decision-based in the metagame, where every choice you make throughout this tree and what we'll show in a minute, which is the full skill tree, has a reward and a consequence. So, in other words, you know, basically everywhere you go, every time you select something in our metagame, you're going to see other things are X'd out. But most important to remember is you can respec at any point in time. You can wipe all your points out of this, keep them, redo this. We don't want changing what you've chosen in this metagame to be resetting it to be a punishment. We want you to jump in and be able to tinker with this, because we've all played these multiplayer games where that's the fun of it, being able to build up a character.
Absolutely.
You face off against a different type of player, or some, maybe, you know, as people get more skilled and the counters start to surface, you want to change that build.
Is there any cost to that respec?
No.
Right.
Let's hear it.
Can you make different build loadouts and save them?
Yes, you can.
Oh.
So, now, here's the thing, though, Pooch. Your tree, the routes you take in your tree are what you get. And that, all of those perks will go into your pool to make your loadouts from, and you can make 5 loadouts from that pool. But if you want to get things in, your tree, in other words, is not tied to your loadout. So it's not, each loadout doesn't have a different route in the tree. But again, we're jumping ahead because...
Yep. This will be explained a little more when we get a little deeper.
To the skill tree, yeah. Right now, I just want to show you one more thing on this. So again, like I said, as you move here, when you hit this top tier of your ability tree, this is when you get to the ones that are really, like, in my opinion, these are the real, like, game-changing levels of this.
Yeah.
The prior rungs of the ability tree are going to change things that already exist within that ability. They're going to make that cooldown better, or, you know, the duration of a skill better, things like that. They're going to tweak those knobs. But when you get to this top rung is when you really get into some things, and I don't want to spoil all of them, and we're not going to show every single one because that's part of the fun of the discovery. But there is monumental changes in each one of these ability trees in this top tier. So you want to get there, and you want to know when you get to that rung, if you were going for this far left unlock, you would have to be somewhere along middle or left, but in the ring prior. Because if you're all the way, if you're all the way over here, and you want to make your way to the far left, that's not going to be possible.
And how do you achieve these rings? How do you move through this system? Some folks are asking, like, is it how do you?
Oh,
are
as you
earning
play.
points? Or are you earning?
Yeah.
Right.
As you play and rank up your character, you'll unlock more points to spend in here. But this is, again, on a little bit of a slower progression, given that there's only the 3 rungs.
Right.
It's a little bit of a slower progression. So we do want people to feel like, while you can move through the skill tree with your skill points at a pretty good clip, there is another layer of promotion going on throughout the process of playing.
Right. And again, these are, someone asked again, can you respec these? Yes. There's no cost to respec. If you built all this out, you took it to a match, you didn't like how it felt, you can just go right back in again, reset, and there's no penalty to doing that. You can just go back and reassign your points and choose a different path and work towards, what you think is the build that you want. Or again, maybe one of your friends said, you ought to try this type. You can move through that with no penalties.
As a matter of fact, keen-eyed people will see I just respec this tree while we were chit-chatting.
Yeah.
So I wanted to show you, though, there's intent behind each one of these choices, because I just, for the sake of argument, ran up the right side, but now you see that this perk is now, or this far left unlock in the top tier is now off limits to me. So, you do have to think about it a bit, and that's why free respecs is something we want you to be able to do. And there we go, respecing again, and we can run through the whole thing again. But we're going to get out of here now, because while this is the root of the character, I think that's a pretty good rundown. This is going to change your character's core, their core ability that makes you choose Akani.
So pretty much what they're saying in that whole clip that I played for you guys is, the sums up is, your Connie is going to be different from my Connie, because everyone's going to want to play Connie differently and use different perks to make her better for you, how you play her. So that is just for her main ability, gives different levels, like every level you go up on that special ability will change how she plays or how the ability helps you. So that's pretty much just the sums of what they said without going into super detail, to break it down just a little bit for you guys.
There's also something to be said for, I don't want to linger on any of these cards too long, because while there's some folks that want to know what every perk is, what it does, and how it works, there are other people that want to understand how the metagame works, but they don't want that all spoiled just yet. So,
Right.
But this is something important to go back to. This is one of those branched path nodes, right? So as you start navigating through the skill tree, you'll hit these choice moments. On the left of the metagame tree there, you could see one that I haven't made a choice in yet. And right over here, you can see one that I did. That means that this route is now closed off to me, and this route is now closed off to me. Early game, once before you've been down those roads, you can't see what you might have missed there. And I know that might be a little frustrating, but don't worry, again, respecs are free. So going through to here, I hit my first branched path beyond that initial decision point. I can see a bit in my tree here, goes in each different direction. Looks like this path links up again. So what I get over here is going to be a couple of perks, but what I get over here is going to be, looks like a bunch of attribute points. So I'm going to pick the left-hand side. And we're going to start unlocking things. Now, whenever you have a stub route like this, you can go to the end of this stub route without any consequence. As long as you don't see this icon, you're not making effectively a tree-altering decision. That's a stub route that you can spend some extra points in. So we'll go down here and just clean those up real quick.
Again, because the point of this, you guys, I know there's some people in chat saying like, whoa, this is bigger or deeper than I thought it was going to be. I mean, the point of this aspect of the game is very strategy focused. You're really thinking about, I mean, these decisions, that they matter whenever you're wanting to create the build that you want to bring into a match and see how it holds up against different levels of people that you're going to be up against. So I'm excited that you guys are seeing the depth here. But again, these aren't just click it and forget about it sort of things. Like there is a strategy of which path you're going to take to get to where the things that you want.
Yeah, one of the earliest goals for this was right now we're on the Connie tree, so we'll use her as an example. We didn't ever want my Connie to be the same as your Connie,
Right.
or Rob's. These characters, again, their star sign ability puts them in a certain role within a victim squad, right? Their baseline attributes puts them in a role. But then you start thinking about, well, we don't want to custom bake these all up to a point where it's kind of like, well, I'm playing Connie, so I know that I'm going to be this way.
Right.
We still wanted so as much as we wanted them to have purpose and a role, and everybody has a function in a match, we wanted to make sure that you could still get those elements in there that made you feel like this was my build.
Right.
And then again, going back to what we talked about in the top of the show, which was, being able to that sharing that starts to emerge from that community that starts to emerge from that. But again, the main thing being, my Connie shouldn't look like your Connie, which shouldn't look like, neither of which should look like Rob's Connie, and on and on and on.
Because what it comes down to, I mean, honestly, is that play style.
Yeah.
It's like, how do you want to play a Connie? And if you navigate this appropriately and you really test it, respec it, come back, do another build, keep poking at it, and try to match it towards matches you've already played. You may be like, man, I wish, Connie could have done this. I wish this could have happened in this other way. You get back into that tree and start looking through it, and you may find, hey, there's actually a pathway here that if I take it, it's really going to turn that tide a little bit for me and make, this type of character more like what I wanted to, like what I want them to match the kind of play style that I want to play as. So again, it matters when you move through that tree, and I hope you guys are starting to see and feel that it's more than just, you don't blindly just crank it buttons and then get what you get. Like there's some strategy to it.
The other important thing is we keep talking about victims right now. We have an entire mirror of this for the family. So there's all of this. There's the abilities. You're familiar with Maim and Bane and Hunt and Trap and those kinds of abilities that we've given to the family members. They also have their own, whole skill trees with attribute points and grandpa perks, which we haven't even touched on yet. So let's get back to the tree. And yeah. So again, like I said, we're moving through this left-hand side, and we're going to have to keep unlocking perks and making our way up. Now, this account is pretty well and truly boosted up, so we have plenty of points to make it to the end of the tree. But again, keen-eyed people might be noticing that we're hitting a question mark perk. You know what the fun part is here? We get to pull a slot machine handle for a little bit of a.
Yep.
Now, slot machines are not exactly the most popular thing in metagames. Don't worry, this isn't this is one random node that we can choose to attack. When you're navigating through your trees, you can see these question marks come up. You know that there's a chance that when you unlock that, you'll get something that maybe for you personally, you're not that interested in, but you also know that there's a chance that you could end up pulling one of the strongest perks in the game through that part of the tree. It's different every time you respec. And usually it's counterbalanced by attribute points and things like that. So avoiding that random node might give you a surplus of attribute points that you wouldn't otherwise have, might give you a perk that you can see that isn't random, that you already know you want, but you could also then choose to take the gamble and get Jack in the Box. Actually, a pretty damn good perk. I'm not going to show you what that card says. So, yeah, and now you can see here, extra attribute point. These are ones that I speed through a bit because again, we have a surplus of points because we've boosted this account up, but also we know what they do. That's basically something we'll be able to use in our loadouts later, which we'll get to. We've got 5 loadouts to show you guys as well. So whenever I click these attribute points quickly, it's not me trying to breeze by nothing, but we've got one more major decision point here. Now this is when it gets fun because you want to be able to look at this and go, okay, well, the left side is heavy with attribute points. Looks like the right side is heavy with attribute points, but what do we have here? Efficient Locksmith. That's a very Connie perk. And then we have Pick on Me. Now, Pick on Me is a pretty cool perk, so I'm going to head this way and keep this moving right along through all of these attribute points. Honestly, I think you're starting to realize either side of that branched path there, we had 2 perks that both would be not only impactful, but they both make a lot of sense for a Connie build in all aspects. They're either side of that choice node is going to be perks where it's kind of hard to find a negative in either one of them. But again, it's about making sure that you're moving your way through the tree and, you know, doing your due diligence a bit to see what else is out there and what all you can get, you know, given each different path.
A few folks asking about gameplay. Are we going to show gameplay? I mean, this stream is about discussing the metagame. It was one of the biggest questions that we were getting on just about everywhere, from social to our Discord, everywhere. Everyone to know, like, how does this work? How does this work? And instead of just throwing you guys to the wolves in the dark and not knowing like how this system works, we wanted to have this stream to sort of give you a high level idea of what it is. That's why we advertised it as this stream is about metagame. So if you came here expecting to see gameplay, I suggest maybe watching some of the footage from the technical test, and who knows, maybe in a future stream between now and launch, you might see some gameplay. But
Sure.
today's stream is about metagame. So if that's why you're here and you're hitting us with Resident Sleepers, well, then kick rocks. Like, that's not what the stream's about. That's why we advertised it as this. But nonetheless, there probably will be something in the near future with some
Absolutely.
gameplay.
I mean, we're so close to launch, too. Here's the other thing I wanted to point out, though. Now, you might have noticed in the lower left-hand corner there, you see Connie and you see Connie's level. As you navigate through the tree, Connie has a level, and my account has a level. The reason I bring that up is because when you see a Connie in the lobby who's a level 10, you know that Connie immediately, regardless of the player's level, that Connie's completely through her skill tree. She's
Right.
at the top of the skill tree, has all of whatever perks she's unlocked
Yep.
at her disposal to build her loadouts. And the reason that's important is I can be a high-level player but have a level 1 Connie in the lobby, and you know that my loadouts are made up of a couple of smaller, lower-level things maybe, or if anything at all. I might have a totally empty loadout at that point.
Yeah.
So a couple of people saw this through the tech test and through the pre-launch event. The two different ranks. Again, player rank and character level are two very different things. Player rank is how much Matt, have played the game. My character rank is how much I've used Connie, if that's who I have selected, or how much I've used Leland. And that's very important and telling, because in those lobby screens, you're not going to see what the other people have equipped. You're only going to see their overall player ranks and their overall account ranks. So we wanted some way to surface that info to you. So if you're in a lobby and you see everybody on the other team it's a team made up of all level 10 family members, you have to bring your A game. A little bit of a hat tip.
Yeah, someone was asking, like, is that what the little number above the red windmill in the tech test,
Yes.
the layout was talking? That's what that was your player level and then your character level. And the point of that system is, like Matt was saying, or if I'm playing the game West, my level as a player may be 10, but I only play a Sunny maybe a little bit, and so I only have like a level 3 Sunny. But what you'll find is that system works well in that the more that you're playing different characters, different victims, you'll start to realize it's very Swiss Army knife like, where you need to choose the right one. You'll start seeing, like, as this game comes out and people are playing it, because we see it even in our dev tests, that when you jump into a lobby, then you see who's coming in as victims, like what they're choosing. You then may go, oh wait, like I need to check it. I don't need to bring my Connie in because, you know, this person is Leland and they're going to play this whatever. Like you'll start to you'll feel that change, and so it's important to have those two things separated. Is how long you've been playing as a human, as a player, but then as each one of those, how much time you sort of put into those. And that can start to really turn the tide too, because if you pop in and see there's a level 8 Connie or something with a player that's a level 15 or something, you might be like, dang, like that this person's going to be legit. They're going to be quick. They're going to be moving well. I need to now pull in a supportive role to come in and shadow Connie, give some protection, like let's let this thing move. And that's also then you're going to see the family do the same thing. They're going to be like, oh shit, there's a high level Connie in here. We need to call an audible, guys. Like we need to get some bruisers in here. Right, you might start to see that the family side shift and change out, and people switching in and out, sort of pitch hitting for the appropriate task. So keep that in mind. But there was a real quick question.
So yeah, I know that I left that clip go on for a while, but I wanted them to explain it as much as they can instead of me just reading stuff and telling you and getting things wrong or said wrong. I figured they would say it best. What he got asked before I cut it off was about metagame, what is meta, and all that kind of stuff. Most people know what it is. I didn't want to throw that in here. I just wanted to explain how their metagame works, pretty much. But I do like their branch in the meta game, how it works. I like it. It's cool. I like the depth that you can just try different builds and all that kind of stuff. I'm really excited about them talking about attributes, which we'll be talking very soon. And my only problem is with um, the like if you see that there's a level 10 Letterface or Hitchhiker, and you gotta bring your best character in, and someone else is using your best character and they don't want to switch, that's gonna cause some issues where you might lose a little bit more. Um, Hopefully there'll be some stuff that fixes that kind of issue where you won't have that issue too much, but we'll see. I don't want to keep rambling on, so let's get on to see what attributes are all about.
All right, so again, I'm at level 9 now with Connie, and you'll see here when I hit these last few points, I've now reached the end of the tree and I'm level 10. So now you know each character you can take to level 10 by progressing. You don't have to progress through all 3 routes because that's not possible, again, with those decision points. But you have to make it to the end of the skill tree. So, yeah, this is the route I've chosen. Now let's go back out here and let's see here. Oh, a little tough to see. Let's tab over this way. There we go. Here's our loadout screen. Now, like I said, we get, 5 different loadouts. You can see here, I'm on loadout 1 right now. Oh, wait, there we go. How do I change my
glad you
loadout
can see
again? I'm old and my eyes don't work.
I hear you, dude. Is it possible, Rob, to throw game to full screen for
Yeah.
us just for a short little bit here?
Rob, I'm a million years old, buddy.
We're just having a hard time reading what's going on. There we go. We
There it
full
is.
screen, baby.
Yeah, left trigger. There we go.
Left
right
trigger, right trigger, what you're looking for.
Yeah.
Oh, see, Rob, you should have said that earlier, man. So
I
anyway,
wanted to watch you fumble.
yeah, I have 5 loadout screens. In testing, my character gets wiped out so often that I really have 1 loadout. I haven't even enjoyed this yet. But you have 5 loadouts here. Each one of your 5 loadouts, you can assign different perks from your pool that you've unlocked. Now you'll notice on the perk screen here, I only have access to the perks that I've unlocked. Rob, you can go back to the other there. So thanks, Rob. You'll see that I only have perks that I've unlocked so far in the skill tree. That's why those choices that you make in the skill tree are so important, because those go into that pool that you can then pick from to make your 5 loadouts. But I also have attribute points that I can assign down here if I want to spill these out differently. We're going to breeze through this because, again, this isn't anything, this is basically all of those attribute points that we've unlocked in the skill tree we can dump into our different perks, or different attributes of choice. We can assign our perks up here, get them all set up. As you can see, I can have a separate modifier for my ability, and then jump up here and switch loadouts, and you see what happens there with all of your attribute points and everything else. There's nothing locked. Once you spend those attribute points, they're not locked in. Even though you spent them in loadout 1, they're not locked in for loadout 2. I think that's something important to note because, in a lot of games like this, loadouts mean 3 different perks. I get 3 different perks, I get 3 different perks.
Right.
In this, you get to use those attribute points differently. So for loadout 1, you might dump them all into endurance, but for loadout 2, you want to dump them all into stealth, or however you want to do it.
And how many of those loadouts can you save? 5.
5.
Good question. I saw that pop through chat.
Yeah, 5 loadouts per character. So and like I said, anytime you respec your tree, you can take a different route, rebuild all your loadouts, all of that.
And again, no penalty when you respec.
Yeah.
So attributes, I actually think they're really cool. I think they actually can change the game a lot because you can upgrade stuff that the character might be weak at. Like, let's take the cook. The cook doesn't have very good stamina, so you might want to upgrade that. But maybe you don't, because maybe you want to help out the family more by getting some perks, more perks. And that because cook's good at collecting blood, so you can get your perks up higher if you get more grandpa abilities and that kind of stuff. But yeah, I think that's going to be cool. Now he's going to answer some questions from the community, and I think some of them are really good. And then there's some worried ones. I'm going to talk after all the questions have been answered. Yeah, there's some problems I have with some things, and I'll explain why. But yeah, here we go. Let's get into them right now.
You get skill tree points by playing that specific character, or can you play one character and then put those points into another?
Banger question. you can use your points across characters. Well, and I can go into a little more detail on that. Really, again, the thinking behind that is we want you in there and enjoying and playing the game. And if you're having a great time playing as Sunny, but his tree is filled, why should you switch a character just so you can feel like you can progress?
Right.
I don't want to change characters because I'm forced into a different character in order to continue progressing. So keep playing and you know, do what you got to do. You build up skill points with one character, respec, spend them else. It's yeah.
The question was, will this metagame get regular balance updates after the game comes out? Obviously, it will. We'll constantly be working on it if we find something that needs to be tuned. If we're seeing it, if we're hearing it, that something's off, obviously we're going to get in and make those adjustments appropriately so that the game still feels good and fresh and fun. What we know is frustrating is if there's something that's put in there that it feels like it either needs to be nerfed or boosted. We get it. Now, those things aren't always instant because those get rolled into usually a full patch and then a patch goes out. So instead of if we find like one thing that's wrong, like one perk feels it needs to be adjusted and we can make that adjustment, the adjustment isn't the hard part. It's now we have to push a build across every single platform globally. That takes time to do. So what we usually do is roll in more bug fixes into that. So it takes a little longer to push one full patch out. But yes, you'll always see us, listening to see what's going on. If we see something that seems off, then yeah, we'll constantly be making those changes to the game. Dennis said, "Are you guys planning on adding additional perks, over time throughout the game?" And I think that's the definitive yes. There will be adjustments and things added. It's all after the fact. It's like, let's get the game out and see how things are going and see how people are leveling, how people are playing the game, and then adding and stuff to the game will always be a thing we want to do. It's really it's the success of the game and how popular is it. Is there a lot of people playing it? Do we see that demand staying high? Are servers staying full? Are people coming to us with their own suggestions and things? Then yeah, we start to make some moves on that front for sure. So I hope that answers your question. At launch, is there a penalty if you DC? I don't remember what's in there, so.
A penalty if you disconnect from a match. We didn't want to penalize people for disconnecting because, this gets into a really tricky area.
Yeah.
There's a lot of reasons, and I know, people DC from matches for not honest reasons all the time. They just don't like they didn't get this or that. I'm not assuming that everyone's honest or anything like that, but there are, let's be real, there's still a lot of times that you disconnect from an online game and it's not your fault.
Yeah.
So,
it could have been even, we could have been rolling a patch, Steam could have gone, something weird
could
happened.
be a storm in your town.
There's no way to know the difference between a legit DC, like out of your control, and then someone who's just rage DCing.
Right.
There's not really a way for us to monitor that. Like, we don't know when you press the power button because you're mad or because a server hiccup, one of the platforms is having an issue, one of our partners or something, or power went out in your region, a storm went through. Like, there's no way to know the difference for those things. So right now, no, that's not something we have planned. Someone also asked, will there be a penalty if you lobby dodge? So if you pop into a lobby and you see that whoever character you wanted to play as is not available, is there a penalty for that? No. But the reason that there isn't one is because, and I'll just go on record and say, sure, you may have one that is your favorite, but I guarantee you that there is another 1 or 2 or even 3 characters in the game that you will also find very fun to play. Anyone that played the technical test that's in chat right now can probably, hit you with a yep after this, which is you probably went into this thinking, oh my gosh, I can't wait to play as Leatherface. And then you were like, but bruh, Hitchhiker's so fun. Mm-hmm. Or you were like, man, Hitch is cool. But you get in and you're like, man, Cook though, something about Cook. I'm vibing with it. So you'll be surprised whenever you do that, which is, again, feeds back into this metagame of why we built it the way we built it is for you to explore throughout all of these characters, play all these characters. They all have unique personalities, right? If you look at the family members, they're all mocapped by real actors. They move, their personalities come to life, their VO lines come to life. It's all different people. Like, all of these things are all going back into that same mindset, which is discover these characters and play all of them and see which one that you like. If you're coming into this with that mindset of, no, I want to play this one specific character. This is my character, and I'm not even going to look at any others. I mean, I guess you can if that's the way you want to play it, but I'm guaranteeing you, you're only going to see a fraction of the fun that can be in this game. And fun is the most crucial piece of this, right? Is the thing I want you to like take away from this is like the game's supposed to be fun. The game's not supposed to be competitive, right? Like that's not the point of the game. The point of the game is get in and have a blast and feel like you're living in the world of Texas Chainsaw Massacre. That's the point. Will the servers have skill-based matchmaking? It's a big question that's came through here. Like, I've seen it probably 40 times.
Skill-based matchmaking.
Yeah.
That's when I don't have an answer.
Yeah, I don't think that's in at launch. No, we don't have skill-based matchmaking. No.
Yeah.
Because again, it also sort of it starts to lean a little bit more into the competitive side. If it's a thing that absolutely like, you know, if we're 6 months post-launch and it's like the biggest demand and we're like seeing that there's a major issue with like early players versus late players, I think it'll be a sort of come to Jesus moment for both Gun and Sumo, and we'll talk through like if this is a thing that needs to happen, is there other alternatives to making that happen? You know, we'll be open to discussing that and figuring it out. But again, there was also a question about leaderboards. Is there going to be leaderboards? Again, no, because that again leads into a type of game that this isn't. It isn't a game about, look, I'm the best. This game is, I'm having fun with my friends. I'm making new friends. You know, there's a lot of people in chat here that I've seen their names many times because they're OG from Friday. And there are a lot of people in there that made lifelong friends in that game. And I think it's because of the type of games that Gun makes, is that it creates that type of camaraderie. And what we don't lean into is the competitive side of it, because it starts to breed a different type of player. It's not one that's right or wrong. It skews off of friendship sometimes. It starts to create a different atmosphere that doesn't fit into what I think the game's supposed to be, or even the IP itself. You know, when you watch Friday the 13th, when you watch Texas Chainsaw, you're with your homies sitting in a basement like this, eating popcorn and talking about what would you have done if you were in that situation, right? We make games that answer that question. That's the point of this. We don't make games to say, I'm better than you, right? It's a vibe difference, and it's what we do at Gun, and I hope you guys appreciate those types of games. It's the kind of games that we like to play. We like to laugh. We like to cut up with each other, and we think when you create a sandbox in a game that allows for that type of environment, people walk away from it, you know, having water cooler moments that they talk about and laugh with their friends later. And I think that's a more powerful connection than, ha, I'm better than you. But that's sort of the ethos of Gun, though. So if that sounds like something that you're like, no, I would rather play a game that's more competitive, there's probably a game on the market you can do that. Mm-hmm. And there'll probably be a lot more. And that's what's the beauty of the video game industry, is there are a lot of different games to choose from. You've got a lot of options, and different games can all coexist on the market. I know I have people coming to me asking me, what do you think about this game or that game? And don't you think of that game as a competitor? No, there's not a single game on the market right now that's a competitor, because you're all playing games, and that all pushes the industry forward. You know, we want to see more horror games. I've said it 100 times. I'm always the biggest cheerleader when new horror games or old horror games are adding new content or trying to push the genre forward. I'm always going to be there cheering it, because it makes it better for all of us. Like for devs, for players, it's all in the effort of trying to push the thing forward. It's never an us versus them. You know, our real competitors are like anything else that's like stealing your attention away from playing video games. You know, Instagram and Netflix, I would view them as more competitors than I would pretty much any other game that's on the market. So it's steeped into our culture here and in the type of games that we make, and we hope that you also, as the player base, connect in the same way.
So there you go, the community questions. The last two questions, the DC penalty and skill-based servers leveling, pretty much like you'll get put with people who are new, not with pro players, that kind of stuff. So let's talk about DC penalty thing. In the technical test, I've seen that happen a lot. It might not be a problem such in the beginning, but over time, it's gonna be very annoying. Like, if you're playing family and someone DCs, that's one less family that can help you play the game. When they DC, no one comes in. They just stand still. They don't do nothing, and that can really hurt you as a family member because you need everyone to do their job. If someone's not there doing their job or they're just not playing, that could hurt you big time as a family member. Unless you're really good, then you might be able to cover up for it. But if they DC, yeah, I understand people DC for different issues, but most people were doing it because two people got out. This match is nothing. I'm losing, so I want to get out. So yeah, I feel like they'll have to add that later. Um, so far, it might not be a problem in the beginning, but eventually over time, it's going to have that issue, just like the Jason one, Friday the 13th. But hopefully they can fix that and add it. And they did say they'll keep an eye on it. But for the skill-based servers or leveling matchmaking, I highly recommend they should actually have that. I know it might not be a problem when the game launches because everyone's going to be new coming in. No one's going to have an advantage. But let's say someone buys it on a sale or it becomes PlayStation Plus free or whatever. Or they just decide I'm gonna buy it now because my friends are playing it, and they come in and they're not gonna have a fun time because they're facing level 10 Leatherfaces or victims that are higher level, have all these perks. Is it gonna be balanced enough that you can win or enjoy it, even being a new player? That's the thing is. And yeah, I feel that might be an issue down the road, especially for new players coming in. I know that from Evil Dead, many other games. If you don't have perks, like Dead by Daylight added it later because a lot of people were complaining that kind of stuff. I definitely think they need that kind of stuff, but maybe not at launch. But I highly recommend they start working on something to get it in there because you will lose players if they're not enjoying it. Alright guys, I don't want to keep rambling on. I hope you guys enjoyed my breakdown of this. I know I didn't talk too much myself, but I wanted them to explain it. I did look at the writing. It's pretty much everything they said. There's not much more they can explain, I can say. But I did enjoy the stream. I gladly will answer any questions I can if you have any questions in the comments. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.
Thank you for checking out this video. Make sure you leave a like, comment, and subscribe.